This is Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio, where tonight the division-leading Cincinnati Reds meet the Los Angeles Dodgers. Next. The scene at Riverfront Stadium, where on Sunday Night Baseball the Los Angeles Dodgers meet the Cincinnati Reds atop the Western Division in the National League. The Reds have been there all season long, but now it's getting to be dire for the Los Angeles Dodgers. They need a victory, and they need one right now, 9.5 games out. Hello, everyone. John Miller, along with Joe Morgan. It's like old times around Riverfront Stadium this weekend. Big crowds gathering, and the Reds and the Dodgers in a pennant race. Two ball clubs who have a history of hating each other. Joe, you played here. You know all about that.
You're right, John. We hated the Dodgers, and the Dodgers hated the Reds. We hated the Dodgers because they were Hollywood. They were the stars. We were Midwest guys, hard-working general guys. We just had a general dislike for each other.
And still today, of course, with the manager, Tommy Lasorda, out there, some of those feelings, I think, still exist. Now, the Dodgers, it's early in the season yet, early to say crucial, but it is crucial for the Dodgers.
Well, I think it's crucial for the Dodgers and everyone that's chasing the Cincinnati Reds. If they let the Reds go into the All-Star break with a 12 to 15 game lead, it's going to be almost impossible to catch them. So every game that the second, third, and fourth place teams are playing now is very crucial to their seasons.
And the Dodgers ready to go at it? Their final head-to-head here with the Reds for a while at Riverfront Stadium. On the mound for the Dodgers, the veteran Fernando Valenzuela, speaking of old times, against the veteran Rick Mahler.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, brought to you by Mitsubishi, bringing you a full line of award-winning automobiles. See them all at your Mitsubishi Motors dealer. By Levi's, 505 and 506 jeans. And by Thompson's, the first name in lasting protection.
And there's the view at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati. Now, they look at the Sears diehard starting lineup for the visiting Los Angeles Dodgers. It'll be Lenny Harris at third base, Stan Javier in center field, Chris Gwynn left field batting third, the veteran switch hitter slugger Eddie Murray at first base, another veteran hitter Hubie Brooks in right field, Mike Scoscia bats sixth, he's the catcher, Juan Samuel is at second base, Alfredo Griffin at shortstop hitting eighth, and on the mound, veteran Fernando Valenzuela.
And the Reds defense will have Glenn Braggs in right field. Eric Davis is the center fielder. Billy Hatcher is in left. Chris Sabo is the third baseman. Mariano Duncan. Billy Larkin. Barry Larkin is the shortstop. Duncan is the second baseman. Benzinger is at first base. Joe Oliver is doing the catching, and on the mound, right-hander Rick Mahler. And Mahler is a guy that has to use his curveball effectively, John. He has to have excellent control if he's going to pitch a good ball game. He throws a lot of breaking balls and off-speed pitches, but he has to have control of his fastball because when he throws it, he has to spot it.
He came off the disabled list just a short time ago. He pitched well the other night in Atlanta, but he was beaten in the ball game. So here's Mahler ready to go. Beautiful night in Cincinnati, and a big crowd is gathering. The game time temperature here at Riverfront Stadium, as you get a look at those blue skies overhead, 72 degrees, the humidity 53%. It's not the kind of weather we would expect for this time of year, right, Joe? Late June?
No, it's usually a lot warmer, a lot more humid here, and usually the ball carries a little better this time of the year. The ball doesn't carry well the first couple of months of the season, but about this time of the year it starts to carry well normally. But right now, with the weather being as it is, the ball is not jumping as normal.
So Mahler taking his final warm-ups prior to getting started here. And again, an awfully big game for the Dodgers, who are 9.5 games out. The two teams directly in front of the Dodgers, both San Diego and San Francisco, already beaten today. And Lou Piniella, in his first year as manager of the Reds, has his ball club well ahead of everybody at the moment. They've all taken a run at the Reds this month. The Reds went through their first slump of the year, but there they are, sitting well above everybody, including Tommy Lasorda's ball club, although Lasorda remains eternally the optimist, sitting there with Rick Dempsey, the veteran catcher. Talk to Lasorda, it sounds like by the end of the week the Dodgers will be
in first base. You're right.
And not just in first place, they'll have an 8-game lead. Strike one on a foul ball. Lenny Harris, the former member of the Reds, traded to the Dodgers in midseason last year, and he's doing an awfully strong job for LA, platooning at third base, hitting .309. Inside for a ball. 1 ball, 1 strike.
They've been using him a lot at second lately as well, John, because Samuel has not been hitting well, and they've been using Lenny Harris over there at second and using Mike Sharperson at third.
And he can play just about anywhere. He's even played the outfield in the past. This is the second baseman, Quinones, and he throws the first for the out. Barry Larkin, whom we would ordinarily see in the starting lineup, being given the night off tonight by manager Lou Piniella. Not for any particular reason, just Piniella saying he's trying to keep everybody fresh. He's giving everybody a day off. There is Mariano Duncan, who is at shortstop in place of Barry Larkin.
Well, I know the score sheet. I had Larkin at shortstop and Duncan at second. That was the last one they gave me.
Well, because you played here for so many years, the Reds PR department typed that out as a little practical joke on you, Joe.
They must have.
They're all laughing downstairs right now. 1 ball, 1 strike to count to Javier. Stan Javier facing Rick Mahler. Javier, of course, with the Oakland Athletics, but traded to the Dodgers in the Willie Randolph deal. Randolph going to Oakland.
And Javier has really been playing well, according to Lasorda, not just hitting. You can see the numbers hitting-wise, but he's been playing great in the outfield as well.
2-2 the count. Now, Javier is a newcomer to the National League, but certainly in his past he knew a lot about the National League. His father, Julian Javier, an outstanding second baseman, notably for the Cardinals back in the 60s and the 70s. Also a brief time here with Cincinnati. Strike 3 to Javier. And he did not like the call.
Well, what happens is a guy like Mahler throws so many breaking balls, he gets you looking for it. Then he spots the fastball right on the inside corner, and you're out. And Javier is thinking the ball is inside.
2 down, and here is Chris Gwynn. And yes, the brother of Tony Gwynn. Curve is low from Mahler, ball 1. Cal Daniels, who is one of the Dodgers' leading hitters and a great hitter, has a sore back, which is keeping him on the bench tonight. And that's ball 2.
Well, it's unfortunate because he plays so well against the Reds, who were his former teammate, and he's hitting over .430 against them since the trade.
And that's fouled back to the screen. 2-1 to Gwynn. So with Daniels out of the lineup, as you get a look at the big crowd on this Sunday night, the first time in the history of the Cincinnati Reds that they have played a regularly scheduled regular season game on a Sunday night here. That's foul right over the Dodger dugout. 2-2 the count. The Dodgers not only with Daniels out of action tonight, but Kirk Gibson also still on the bench. He's got a strained right groin, still listed as day-to-day. They're hoping that he'll be back soon. He went out and took his warm-ups and that sort of thing, did his workout during batting practice. The 2-2 pitch in the dirt with a breaking ball. Full count, 3-2. Gibson sitting on the bench.
The problem, John, when you start to have problems with your legs is that they really have a way of compounding. By that I mean if you have a sore right knee, you start to favor that, and then you hurt your left knee. If you have a hamstring problem, you favor that, you hurt your quadricep. So it's really going to be a continuing problem for Gibson, I believe.
High fly ball into right center. Waiting for it is Glenn Braggs, and that's the inning. So the Dodgers are gone very quickly against Rick Mahler. The Reds are coming up. No score. John Miller and Joe Morgan at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, ready to go to the last of the first inning. Now, here's the Sears diehard starting lineup for the Cincinnati Reds. Chris Sabo leads off at third base. Billy Hatcher, left field. Eric Davis, red hot in center field. Glenn Bragg's recently acquired from Milwaukee in right field. Todd Benzinger, hometown kid, at first base. Mariano Duncan at shortstop. Luis Quinones at second base, batting 7th. Joe Oliver is the catcher. And on the mound, right-hander Rick Mahler.
And the Dodgers defensively will have Hubie Brooks in right, Stan Javier in center, Chris Gwynn in left, Lenny Harris at third, Alfredo Griffin is the shortstop, Juan Samuel, Eddie Murray on the right side, Mike Scoscia will be doing the catching, and on the mound, left-hander Fernando Valenzuela.
Now, Joe, Fernando, not the Fernando that he once was, but he's coming off a victory. And he's pitched well in each of his last 4 starts. He doesn't throw as hard as he used to. How's he doing it?
Well, he's really just changing speeds on what he already has. He had a pretty good fastball a few years ago.
Here's Sabo leading it off. That's a strike on the outside.
He had a good fastball to go with the screwball and the curveball and the slider. He's lost about a foot on the fastball, so he has to take that much more off the slow curves and the changeups.
Just off the outside to Sabo. Now, Chris Sabo off to a great start for the Reds. Hitting well for average, getting on base a lot, stealing bases, and hitting home runs. 5 of them just in the last 15 games. 15 all told. And the count goes to 2-1. Now, Sabo has made an adjustment to start hitting more home runs.
Well, you know, he's swinging the bat a lot better. He had bad knees the last couple of years.
Right center field. On the run, Javier, 1 away.
And most guys need to use their legs to drive the ball out of the ballpark. And he was not getting a lot of leg drive, and that's why he was having problems the last couple of years. His legs are fine now. He's swinging the bat well. Kind of similar thing with Eric Davis. He was struggling earlier this year because he was having problems with his right knee. Now his knee is healthier than it's been all year, and he's starting to hit home runs.
This is a fella, Billy Hatcher, at the plate now with 1 out, nobody on. And then, as he takes ball 1 from Valenzuela, Lou Piniella looks at as one of the keys to the ball club, that he has come in here, and particularly when Davis was out with an injury early on, Hatcher filled in beautifully for him defensively and hit the ball extremely well.
Well, I think they knew he could play defense. He's always been a pretty good outfielder, but now he's hitting so much better than he has the last couple of years. But he has been the key, because without Eric Davis, they had a center fielder on their roster and didn't have to go out and trade for one.
That's foul down the left field line. The count is 2 balls, 1 strike to Billy Hatcher. Hatcher hitting .321 coming into the game. Now with Davis back and having acquired Glenn Braggs from Milwaukee, the Cincinnati Reds have quite a few outfielders, and Piniella's got a plan for that too. Screwball and off the end of the bat. The count now 2-2 to Hatcher. Piniella is talking about a rotation now. Somebody will always get at least 1 night off a week.
Well, when you have 4 good outfielders, as the Reds have, you can afford to do that. That'll do 2 things. That'll keep these guys fresh if there is a pennant race in September.
3-2 now to Billy Hatcher, and that's why Larkin is out of there tonight. On another front, Larkin's played all but 1 game this year. Piniella says he's been able to get everybody some rest. Everybody's fresh right now. Nobody's tired. 3-2 pitch fouled off to the right, and well back out of play. 3-2. Larkin could be, if we have a tight one, and particularly we'll see Larkin in the ball game later on. He's been having a great year for the Reds, although he's tailed off at the plate a little bit lately too.
It's great if you can have a .328 hitter coming off the bench, sitting over there knowing that you have a hit if you need it.
That's a base hit for Billy Hatcher. Pretty good at bat there for Hatcher.
That's a real good at bat, because 2 things happened there. Not only did he foul off a lot of pitches and get a base hit, but he had a chance to see all of Valenzuela's pitches in 1 at bat. He saw the screwball, he saw the fastball, he saw the curveball, and he saw the slider. Now for the rest of the ball game, he knows exactly how those pitches will move each and every time at bat. A lot of times you have to waste an at bat because you don't get to see the guy's all of his pitches in 1 at bat.
And here is Eric Davis. Now look at that batting average, .243. But just a little over a week ago, it was below 200. He has been red hot. 4 homers in the last 8 days. And he's looking like the Eric Davis that everybody remembers now. Strike 1.
That looked like a pretty good fastball there from Valenzuela. That may be the best fastball he's thrown tonight. But if you're going to come inside on Eric Davis, you have to have a good fastball, especially if you're a left-handed pitcher, because he can see it a lot quicker than he does from the right hand.
Now Hatcher, the runner at first, has stolen 16 bases this year. And it's ball one. 1 ball, 1 strike to Davis. Eric send one past Fernando. ESPN. It's a good one. And he can. Davis has been hitting them all around the ballpark. He surprised even Piniella the other night when he blasted one to right center in a game in which he hit 2 homers against Houston. Piniella said, I didn't realize he had that kind of power to right center. That one wings the plate umpire, Jim Quick. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Davis told me something, though, as hot as he is, that was kind of surprising. He says, I'm not there yet.
Well, I think the reason is, John, is because he still feels that his right knee is not 100%. It's much better than it was 2 weeks ago. It's much better than it was yesterday. But it's still not 100%. And that is where he gets his bat speed from, by turning his right knee and generating a lot of bat speed with the lower part of his body.
He's wearing a brace on that knee that weighs about 4 pounds. Hatcher back to the bag. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Eric Davis. Glenn Braggs is on deck. There you see the knee and you see the brace.
He also wears high-top shoes, and that's from an old injury. Last year he had problems with his ankles.
There goes Hatcher. And Scoscia drops the ball. So Hatcher steals second, his 17th steal of the year, and he steals it uncontested.
Valenzuela holds runners pretty well at first base, but Hatcher's had a chance to see a lot of moves from over there, and he gets a pretty good jump. Scoscia had a shot at him, but he cannot get the ball out of his glove cleanly, and so he doesn't make a throw. But Hatcher got a good jump, and he slides in safely.
So he's got 17 steals. The Reds as a team have stolen 91 bases, and they've been thrown out only 27 times. So they've got many weapons with which to come after a ball club. 2-2 pitch, fouled off of Scoscia. Still 2-2 to Eric Davis.
So far, Valenzuela has been able to tie Davis up inside and keep the ball inside. If you establish that you can pitch inside to these hitters, then you have a chance to go away. And that's the thing that Valenzuela always did so well. Everyone talked about the screwball, but he always used the fastball and the slider on the inside part of the plate to keep the right-handers from leaning.
No score in the game, but the Reds with a threat. 1 out, runner at second. The 2-2 pitch to Eric Davis. Screwball, and he fought it off. So, as was the case with Hatcher, who eventually singled, Valenzuela having a hard time putting these hitters away right now.
And that's the difference in Valenzuela now and, say, 7 years ago. 7 years ago, when he got you 0-2, or he got ahead of you with 2 strikes, he could get you out, because he had a couple of options then, by coming inside and throwing the screwball away. Now he doesn't have many options unless he sets them up perfectly in the pitch sequence. Now I think the only way he can get Davis out is away.
2-2 the count. Valenzuela checking Hatcher. Pickoff play. He's safe. Juan Samuel, the second baseman, taking the throw.
It's tougher for a left-hander to pick a guy off second base than it is a right-hander. The left-hander is turning away from where he's throwing, and then he has to find the guy that's covering. Samuel would be in sight all the time of the right-hander.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Eric Davis. Again, Fernando with a look at Hatcher. And again, Samuel comes in with a pickoff.
That was interesting there. The first time Hatcher went back in diving, and Samuel tried to block him off the base with his knees. This time, Hatcher does not slide, and he runs back in with his body and bounces into Samuel. If you slide back in or run back in standing up, you cannot be blocked off the base.
Well, we were watching the NHL playoffs there for a moment. They're going to try it again. Hatcher wants timeout.
Hatcher gets a bigger lead this time than he's had the entire time he's at second base. A quick move by Valenzuela, but not in time.
Hatcher again with a fairly long lead over there. He's not going anywhere. Davis lines it foul.
That's why I say I don't think he can get Davis out inside this particular bat, because Davis has been seen a couple of pitches inside and he knows the speed in there, and Davis has such a quick bat. It's going to be tough for Valenzuela to sneak a fastball or a slider by on the inside part of the plate. He may be able to get him chasing a pitch up and out of the strike zone, but if he throws a strike, I don't think the fastball will get him out inside.
And is all of this action going on at second base, does that have any kind of an adverse effect on Eric Davis?
I would think it would if I was the hitter. I'd never like to see guys jump around because it would distract me from what I was, I'm watching the pitcher. I'm waiting for this particular pitch or this particular zone for the pitcher to throw in. And all of a sudden he turns and throws to second base. Now you have to start all over. It breaks your concentration.
Davis has hit 3 home runs against that man, Fernando Valenzuela, in just his last 28 at-bats against him. Not a bad figure. There goes Hatcher outside. Scoscia hits Eric Davis as he made the throw, and Hatcher will score. Scoscia makes the wild throw as he hit Eric Davis. Hatcher has stolen a run.
Well, as you mentioned, he fought off Valenzuela. He singled, he stole second, he stole third, and he scores on the error by the catcher Scoscia. He has a good jump. Actually, Scoscia has a shot at him, but the throw is inside, and Harris can't come up with it. Hatcher comes in to score.
And Davis draws a walk on the 3-2 pitch.
One of the reasons that you can steal third base is because if there's a right-handed hitter in the batter's box, it's tough for the catcher to throw straight through. He has to either throw around the hitter or behind him. And what happened there was Eric Davis did not move. He doesn't have to move. And so he caused Scoscia a lot of problems, and there was nothing he could do. Harris is going to the bag. A good throw may have had Hatcher. It was going to be close, but the throw was way inside. No chance for Lenny Harris to make a tag.
Now here's Glenn Braggs. Up until a couple of weeks ago, he was with the Milwaukee Brewers, the only club that he'd ever been with in his professional career. Davis will go back. Davis, another guy who can steal a base, although with the knee problem, he said that he's only got 1 stolen base in him per game, and he'll only use that one up if the game's on the line. He can really turn the game around.
Well, he has not been caught stealing a base this year. He's 8-0.
1 out, 1 on, 1 in. And ball 1 to Glenn Braggs, who's hit awfully well since coming to Cincinnati. He's got a couple of home runs, and he's hit safely in every game he started. He's in there tonight, and Paul O'Neill is out. O'Neill is an excellent hitter, big run producer, 9 home runs, 39 RBIs, but he hasn't done particularly well against Valenzuela in the past. The 1-0 delivery, hit high and down the left field line, way up there, and out of play. A ball and a strike. That was a gigantic pop-up.
When you watch Valenzuela pitch on the rubber, watch where he places his left foot. He places it on the far side of the rubber, the third base side. The reason he does that is so he can get a better angle on the right-handed hitters when he throws the screwball. See, he's on the extreme left corner of that rubber. He's on the third base edge, so that he can get the screwball breaking away from the right-hander. He gets a better angle from that position.
1-1 delivery, called strike 2 to Braggs. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
By contrast, a guy like Steve Charlton, he worked from the first base side of the rubber because he threw a lot of sliders, and he wanted a slider to break down and in on the right-hander. But that's where Valenzuela throws from. That gives you a little better angle with the screwball to the right-handed hitter.
Davis getting his lead from first. 1 out. 1-0 Cincinnati ahead. And it's Ball 2, 2-2 the count. Fernando won in his most recent start last Tuesday against Houston, and he won that ball game working with only 3 days of rest. The Dodgers are going with a 4-man rotation right now. They do have some days off. They had one Thursday before they got here, so he's working now with 4 days of rest. But the big question about going with 4 men in the rotation was, could Fernando's arm handle it? 2-2 pitch. Screwball. He struck him out. 2 down.
We talked about having the good angle for the screwball to the right-handed hitter. This is a perfect example. Now watch this ball starts toward the middle of the plate. There it is. Now it breaks on the outside corner. If he was on the other edge of the rubber and he starts the ball out there, it would never be a strike. It would always have to start it toward the outside corner, and the hitter may not bite. You see how he twists his elbow there to get the opposite rotation that you would normally get on the fastball. It's a tough pitch on your elbow, I would think, but a lot of guys that have thrown it over the years have not really had arm problems.
Benzinger, base hit past the diving Griffin. Benzinger, a switch hitter, who's also having a fine year. .294 coming into the game with 3 home runs. There's Tony Perez, former teammate of yours, Joe, now the first base coach and hitting instructor of the Reds. Great RBI man.
Great RBI person. And I guess, you know, we were talking about Billy Hatcher and the great addition he has been to the Reds ball club. He reminds me of Tony Perez. He's a guy that teases you in the clubhouse, keeps you loose. When the team loses, that's when he's at his best. He keeps you loose, gets your mind off of the losing, and that's the way Tony Perez was.
Here's Mariano Duncan, former Don, pops it up. Eddie Murray goes after it. He has no room. Back out of play it goes. And the count is 0-1 to Mariano Duncan. Now, early in the year when the Reds got off to their sizzling start and looked like they were just going to bury everybody in the National League West, and they may yet. You see Duncan hitting .295 now. At that time, he was leading the league. He was hitting .400, and everybody said, how is that possible? Well, he's not hitting that well now.
Well, it was possible early because he had worked with Tony Perez, and he said he understood hitting now. He didn't understand before. He said he just walked up there and took his cut. Now he has an understanding of what you're supposed to do in the batter's box.
And he certainly understands that he's in a deep slump at the moment. There's your called strike on the inside.
Well, you know what happens, John, is if you're swinging a bat very well, hitting for a high average, and then you get hurt, you have to sit out. You go on the disabled list. You sit out for 3 or 4 weeks or whatever, and then when you come back, it's a lot of pressure on you. There's a lot of pressure on you to perform as you were doing before. But it always takes you a few days to get back in the rhythm. And I think Duncan just put too much pressure on himself when he came back.
1 ball, 2 strikes to count.
Very rarely do you come back and pick up where you left off.
1985, Duncan came out of nowhere into the Dodgers scheme of things. They put him at shortstop, and he was a central figure in the Dodgers winning the National League's Western Division title that year. He stole bases. He covered a lot of ground, and they started comparing him to a young Ozzie Smith because he could cover so much ground. He fouls that one straight back. 1-2 the count. 2 on, 2 out. The Reds lead 1-0. But he was never able to put together that kind of a season again for the Dodgers.
Well, you know, what happened with Duncan in L.A., he had a bad year. He was injured a little bit, and he was still playing, and he had a bad year defensively. And the fans started to get on him. The writers started to criticize him, and he was still a young guy, and he could not handle that. So he had to go back to the minor leagues for a while, and now he's a much more mature player.
Takes it outside, 2-2. 2 out. There's Eric Davis, the runner at second base. Todd Benzinger, the runner at first. Both ready to go in anything here with 2 men down. 1-0 Cincinnati ahead. Luis Quinones is on deck. Valenzuela been a struggle in this first inning. Here's his 2-2 pitch. Popped up foul, and this too will come back out of play.
Valenzuela is a guy like most good pitchers. If you're going to get them early, because they seem to get their rhythm as the game goes along, and they get better as the game progresses. And I think this is a very key inning for him. If he can get out of this inning by only giving up 1 run, he will still have an opportunity to pitch a very fine ball game. Because I do believe that he struggles more in the first inning than he does the rest of the ball game.
He has thrown 32 pitches already.
That's a lot of pitches, but he's a guy that if he gets out of the inning, like I say, he can get away with throwing 8 or 10 for a few innings.
One hopper to third. Lenny Harris fields it cleanly over to Murray. Eddie, yep, he got to the bag finally. That was in question there for a little bit. That's the inning. The Reds get the one. Cincinnati 1, the Dodgers nothing. We'll be back. Back at Riverfront Stadium, 1-0 Cincinnati leading the Dodgers at the end of one. John Miller along with Joe Morgan. This is an historic date. 6 years ago today, Joe Morgan became the all-time leading home run hitter among second basemen. He hit one that put him ahead of Rogers Hornsby, one of the all-time great. Finished with 266. Who'd you hit it against, Joe?
Frank Tanana. I remember it was a hit in Oakland, and my parents were there, which was great, and I got to do it in front of the home folks there in Oakland, California.
Did they stop the game and they bring out big awards and ceremonies, that sort of thing?
Well, Ricky Henderson did.
Here's Eddie Murray leading it off. And first ball swinging, he lofts one into left field, right to Billy Hatcher. Whoa, not quite right to him.
Well, it looked like it was quite right to him when he hit it.
He thought so too, yeah. Wow. So he caught it.
Well, Hatcher thought the ball was coming all the way in the air. Murray hit it off the end of the bat, but then Hatcher had to really hustle in to catch it. When Eddie Murray takes a swing, you quite naturally start back most of the time.
Now, here is Hubie Brooks. He's not had the big season so far that the Dodgers are hoping for from him.
Well, I think Hubie Brooks, when the Dodgers acquired him, they acquired him more for an RBI man than a batting average.
That's foul.
And Hubie Brooks is a good RBI man. And I think before the year is over, he will have some high numbers because he's been real consistent as far as driving in runs throughout his career.
And foul again. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Brooks has hit well against Mahler over the years. 365 over 52 lifetime at bats.
Well, I find that interesting because all of a sudden Rick Mahler is going to his second best pitch, which is his fastball. And I think he feels the Dodger players are looking for breaking balls and slow curves.
Another fastball. Quinones throws him out. 2 away. 1-0 Cincinnati leading. Time of the sorta. Obviously some deep secret meaning to those comments there.
Well, Tommy is a cheerleader for his ball club, and he usually gets pretty good results.
Mike Scoscia, the hitter, batting .255, 8 home runs. At 8 home runs is rather surprising from Scoscia. He has never been much of a home run hitter.
Well, he started last year, John. He started pulling the ball more. And if you're a big, strong guy and you start to pull the ball, you will hit more home runs than you have in the past. Because before he hit the ball to left field, left center, left and right center, that was his alleys. Now he's more of a pull hitter, and they're playing him accordingly.
The 1-1 delivery. Ball 2. 2-1 the count. 2 down, nobody on. Scoscia saved a game here for the Dodgers on Friday night. Winning run was about to score. Eric Davis. That's down to Benzinger. He can't handle it, and he still gets him with Mahler covering. Talk about that Friday night play a little bit later. Right now, the Dodgers have gone down in order. 1-0 Cincinnati. Foul ball on the first pitch from Valenzuela, hit by Luis Quinones, the 7th place hitter in the Cincinnati batting order, leading it off here in the last of the second. 1-0 Cincinnati leading. This is John Miller along with Joe Morgan from Riverfront Stadium. Valenzuela misses inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Now Fernando struggled through that first inning, through 35 pitches, and we'll see if he's ready to settle in now. Left center field. That one is into the alleyway, heading for the wall. Picked up by Javier, and it's a stand-up double for Quinones. Fourth double of the year for Luis Quiñones.
Well, Fernando gets the pitch up in the strike zone. You see Scoscia giving him the sign low and away, and he gets it up and around the middle of the plate. And Quiñones drives it up the gap in left center field.
Quiñones, 28 years of age, from Puerto Rico. Been with the Cubs, the Giants, even Oakland for a brief time before finally settling here in Cincinnati the last couple of years. Here now is Joe Oliver. He's been slumping lately. He drives one into left field. On the run is Gwynn, and he got it. Got a pretty good jump on that one.
Yeah, but they're also getting a pretty good jump on Fernando here, too. They're hitting the ball awfully hard. Even Duncan, the last 3 balls hit have been shots. The ball Duncan hit to end the first inning was a bullet to Harris at third. Now Quiñones hits a line driving the gap, and Oliver lines one to left field. So he's not fooling them right now.
Well, he's not throwing that many pitches now, though, either.
Well, that's a good good lining of that cloud.
Here's Rick Mahler, the pitcher. Strike, and it's 0-1. Runner at second, nobody out. The Reds leading 1-0. There is Quiñones over at second base. And that's foul. 2 strikes the count. Now, in the 70s, when these two ball clubs would play, talk about a rivalry. You could not get a ticket to one of these games.
Well, I think the great thing about that rivalry was the fact that the Dodgers were on the West Coast. This was the Midwest. And the fact that we were always fighting each other for the pennant. Either the Dodgers would win or the Reds. It was always the Dodgers and Reds 1-2 in those years.
Popped him up. Shallow center field. Griffin going out. And from center field, Javier there to take it for the second out. Holding at second, Quiñones. 2 down. Good crowd tonight, though. They had 46,000 here last night.
Well, when the Reds are playing well, they always draw well. The team dictates how the attendance goes. It's not like if the team's not playing well, they'll still come out. If they don't play well, the fans will not show up.
Well, it's been a good show to bring everybody out so far this year. At their current pace, they might draw 2.4 million in 1990. Sabo, the hitter, runner at second, 2 down. And Fernando gets strike 1 in there. 0-1. 1-0. Cincinnati leading in the last of the second. Sabo, very interesting fellow, local product with those big goggles. What a fine player. He had a bad year last year.
That's a very good stat. Shows how well he's come back from the last couple of years. He had 17 home runs and 892 at bats. Now he has 15 and only 250 at bats. So that shows that he is really producing power-wise much better now than ever.
Most home runs he's ever hit in a season in the majors or the minors before was 12. On the curve, right to Griffin. But a Murray, and that's that. Leadoff double for Quiñones, but the Reds wasted. 1 man left. 1-0 Cincinnati after 2. On June 24th, 1970, the last game was played at Cincinnati's venerable Crosley Field. Led by Lee Mays' home run, the Reds closed Crosley in style with a 5-4 win over Willie Mays and the Giants. Immediately after the game, home plate was removed and flown by helicopter and then implanted in the new Riverfront Stadium, which officially opened 6 days later. And we're in Riverfront Stadium 20 years later with 1 strike to count to Juan Samuel. Base hit down the right field line. Chasing it out there is Bragg. Samuel, who's got great speed, is going to hold on at second base. Bragg's throw skipping past Duncan. Finally retrieved by none other than the left fielder, Billy Hatcher. Talk about hustling. Hatcher's in there backing up a play at second base.
And Mahler throws a fastball away, and Samuel goes the other way. When he first came to the major leagues, this is what he did so well, I thought. He hit the ball the other way. You pitch him inside, he'd pull the ball. Now he swings and misses so much that he doesn't really have a pattern at the plate anymore. I'm really disappointed, truthfully, that this guy has not been a great second baseman throughout his career, because in 1983, when he came up, I thought he was going to be a great second baseman for a number of years to come. And he's never reached the potential that I actually thought that he was going to attain.
Samuel snapped out of an 0 for 33 slump Friday night here. Alfredo Griffin, nice play by Benzinger, and he gets it. Griffin looking for a ball to pull to get that runner over to third, and he did, but he almost got him in. Benzinger, however, at least for the moment, saves a run.
It's a nice play by Benzinger, but it's also a good play by Griffin, because he does his job by pulling the ball to the right side and moving the runner over to third so he can score on either a fly ball or a ground ball.
And getting the man over to third base with the pitcher coming up sometimes might seem to be a moot point, but not with Fernando up there. Look at those numbers.
Fernando puts the ball in play, and in this situation, he'll try to get a pitch that he can get a drive.
He's shortened up on the bat as if to bunt. The infield is playing in for Cincinnati with a 1-0 lead, and the pitcher up there. Fernando hitting .357. Samuel at third. Slowly, but foul on the first base side.
Fernando's always been a good hitter. They use him as a pinch hitter a lot of time for some of the other pitchers. You don't see a lot of pitchers attacking a curveball as he did right there. That was a 1-ball, no-strike curveball, and he went after it.
I mean, he's had 10 hits this year, 2 doubles and a home run, 6 runs batted in. They used him as a pinch hitter. Lasorda did one night, and he came off the bench and banged a double.
Samuel will probably try to score even on an infield ground ball.
2-1. Fernando last year with the bases loaded had 4 at-bats and went 2 for 4. I mean, bases loaded, you're a pitcher. The one guy you want up there is the other pitcher. 2-1 the count. Goes after another breaking ball. Samuel's got great speed. Hatcher makes the catch. And a wild throw. And it's all tied up. Fernando gets the sacrifice fly.
Well, because he had to catch the ball on the dead run, it was almost impossible for Hatcher to make an accurate throw. And with the speed of Samuel, he was not going to be able to get him. Hatcher's on the dead run here. Now watch, he makes a basket catch. Now he tries to get himself on stride and throw on the run, and he throws it too high. But as I mentioned, Samuel is one of the fastest runners in the league, and it would take a perfect play just to make it close. I don't even think they could have gotten him with a perfect throw.
Now Lenny Harris, the leadoff batter, is up. He's 0 for 1, grounded to second his first time. A 1-1 tie. Well, interestingly, here in the third inning, the Dodgers get a leadoff double from their 7th place hitter and manufacture a run out of it. The Reds in the second got a leadoff double from the 7th place hitter and didn't do anything with it.
Well, that's what the Dodgers acquired Samuel for. Actually, they wanted him to do that from the leadoff spot, but he didn't hit very well up there. So Samuel does provide instant offense if he makes contact with the baseball.
Hatcher backpedaling a little bit. And he's got it. Harris gave it a long ride. 1 run for the Dodgers, 1 hit. Fernando tying it up with his own RBI after 2.5. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball from Cincinnati, and you're looking at the Tyler Davidson Fountain, located in the famous Fountain Square, the heart of the business and cultural life of the city. That fountain was built in 1871. The sculpture acknowledges the aesthetic and utilitarian value of water.
Oh, okay.
I knew water had something to do with it.
That's where they celebrate when they win a world championship or a pennant. They have the parade to Fountain Square.
Billy Hatcher, the hitter, against Fernando Valenzuela. 2 balls, 1 strike. 1-1 the score now. Hatcher scored the first run of the game all by himself. A single. He stole second. He stole third and scored when the throw to third on the steal went to left field. Screwball, a good one. 2-2 the count.
That's what Fernando needs to use more against these right-handed hitters. But I think the first time around he wanted to establish that he would come inside to the right-handed hitters. Now I think you'll see more screwballs, and what happens there is they will chase them more because they start in the strike zone and break out. another screwball. He laid off of that one.
3-2.
But he needs the screwball to be effective.
3-2 pitch on the way to Hatcher. Hit high and deep into left field. This one has a chance. Gwynn back to the wall. And he's got it right at the wall.
Well, Fernando got away with a high screwball there. The ball hung, and I think that's why Hatcher just missed it. If it would have been a fastball, he probably would have hit it out. But he was just a little bit, see, it's a screwball right there, and it doesn't fool Hatcher very much, but just enough to keep it in the ballpark. Nice play by Gwynn. You could see him find the wall. That's what every outfielder should do. Know where the wall is when you go back on the fly ball.
Eric Davis breaks his bat. A one-hopper to Griffin, over to Murray. Just like that, 2 men are gone. He makes short work of Davis this time. I'm wondering, Joe, on these fly balls, we've seen a couple now. One where Hatcher was fooled, had to come in and make a shoe-top catch. And now in this one, it looked to me like Gwynn was getting set to leap out there.
Yeah.
And then, as you said, he found the wall, but then it came right to him. Maybe there's a little breeze or something that's knocking
Well, there
these balls
probably
down.
is. A lot of people forget, because the stadium is completely enclosed, they think that the wind has no effect on the baseball, but it does. What happens is the wind will come in or be blowing out. It'll hit the stands in center field and work its way back into the stadium.
Drags the hitter, fouls one away, 1 ball, 1 strike.
And that, of course, will have an effect on the ball.
Here's a local celebrity, Boomer Esiason, out of the University of Maryland, and the great left-handed quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals. And a Reds fan, apparently. One hop to Griffin again. And that's the inning. Rags retired. Well, Fernando settling in now. We're a third of the way through it, and the game is all tied. Dodgers 1, Reds 1.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, brought to you by Michelob Dry Beer. Once you experience the bold taste with no aftertaste, there's no going back. By Kentucky Fried Chicken. Taste our best at Kentucky Fried Chicken. And by Citizen ProMaster, for professional use only.
Back at Riverfront Stadium, and the Dodgers coming up with Stan Javier against Rick Mahler, a 1-1 tie. Javier struck out looking his first time. Dodgers have only 1 hit. The Reds have 3. Dodgers 1 hit was turned into a run. In fact, that's the only base runner until right now against Rick Mahler. Base hit for Javier.
And Javier just continues to swing the bat well. I think it took him a little while to get his feet on the ground here in the National League, but I tell you, I've always liked him. I saw him play quite a few games for the Oakland A's.
People tend to forget about Javier, but last year when Canseco was out for a long period of time, Javier played a lot and played well.
He's a good player, and he's a young player. He's still learning, so could be a great trade for the Dodgers.
Javier, who when he steals almost always succeeds. When he attempts to steal, he almost always makes it. A great percentage in Oakland. Actually not doing all that well in the National League. 5 steals, been caught 3 times already.
Yeah, but again, I think that's, because he's learned to live.
1-1 here at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati. The first place Reds against the Dodgers. The Dodgers 9.5 games out. Both of the second and third place ball clubs lost already. The Giants losing in Houston again today. And what a loss for San Diego. They were ahead 10-7 in the 9th. And eventually lost it in extra innings 11-10. 1-0 the count to Gwynn. And it's 2-0. Gwynn, 25 years of age. He's a speedster. Played at San Diego State and also for the U.S. Olympic team back in 1984. Of course, his older brother, Tony Gwynn's fairly well known. Yeah. And it's a strike. 2-1. Eddie Murray is on deck. Gwynn in there. Cal Daniels hurting. His back is hurting. Kirk Gibson with the groin muscle injury. short on outfielders right now. Back to the bag is Javier. 2-1, nobody out. Something going to be happening here?
Well, I think they were expecting something to happen. Gwynn uses the bat well. Javier runs well. I think it's a perfect situation for a hit and run. And 2 balls and 1 strike. Mahler cannot afford to pitch out. He has to try to get the ball around the strike zone. So I think it's a perfect hit and run situation.
Rick Mahler, 36 years of age, been around a long while. And again, he'll chase Javier back to the bag. Cincinnati outfield trying to cut off the alleys. As you see Joe Amalfitano, the third base coach. Javier's not running. The ball is slapped foul off to the left. 2-2. Funny swing there at 2-1. Gwynn swung as if the hit and run was on.
I actually think that Gwynn thought the hit and run was on, and maybe Javier missed it. I think someone missed a sign, because I think Amalfitano gave a signal and then he changed and gave another one, and that may have confused either the hitter or the runner.
Javier, but I don't think he would have had a swing like that on 2-1 otherwise.
No, I definitely believe that he thought the hit and run was on. See, now what happens is sometimes after they throw to first base, a manager will decide, hey, they may pitch out here and change the sign, and one of them didn't get it.
Curveball down the right field line and foul into the crowd. The right fielder, Glenn Braggs, is way over in the right center, even though the center fielder, Davis, straight away out there.
Well, see, that brings up a good point, John. When you go over a guy in the meetings before the game, you say, we're going to throw him fastballs away and play him away. Then all of a sudden you throw him a slow curve and your defense is set around to the left side, and he's going to pull that ball. It's like right now, that pitch was not a good pitch in that situation, simply because the first baseman's holding the guy on, the second baseman's near the bag, and that leaves a wide open hole for a curveball to be hit through.
There goes the runner now, and this one is golf foul.
That was a slider. A slider is a better pitch in that situation.
2-2 to Chris Gwynn.
But what you want to do is throw a sinker to get the ground ball to the infield, or something hard like a slider that's going down to get the ground ball to the infield. The slow curve allows the guy to be able to pull the ball through the hole very easily.
Don't forget the Dodgers' big cleanup hitter, Eddie Murray, is on deck. It's a 1-1 game, 4th inning. There goes Javier. Inside, Oliver's got a strong arm. Swing! The 6th steal of the year for Javier. It was close.
Well, Oliver made it close because it was a tough pitch to throw on. It's down and in, but he gets rid of the ball very quickly. Watch, the pitch is down and in. That's a tough pitch to throw on if you're a catcher, but he comes up firing and he throws it right on the money. Javier just beats the throw, and just barely. Nice slide by Javier.
He used his Ricky Henderson slide.
Right. A lot of guys go head first, and it allows you to, move your body one way or the other, but a lot of things can happen that are negative if the throw is right there.
That's a little looper, and it's in there for a base hit. Hatcher fields it on one bounce. No play at the plate against the speedy Javier. And the Dodgers have manufactured another run, a single, a steal, and then the single by Gwynn. It's 2-1 Los Angeles.
That's a good piece of hitting by Tony Gwynn. He waited on the pitch and lined it over shortstop. And as you mentioned, they manufactured a run. Javier stealing second, getting himself in the scoring position. And then Gwynn taking this pitch that's sinking down and away and goes the other way with it. Nice piece of hitting.
Now Eddie Murray, 0 for 1. Eddie, one of the rare times in his career, had to sit out some games because of an injury problem. This is a guy who never misses a game. He had a hamstring problem for a while. Ball 1. Eddie hitting .287, switch hitter. He's been hitting most of his home runs batting left-handed. And most of his home runs since coming to the National League anywhere but Dodger Stadium.
Yeah, he's only hit, I think, 6 home runs there and 23 or so on the road.
It's a foul. It will go back out of play.
Well, Dodger Stadium is not a hitter's paradise. The ball doesn't carry well there in the evening. And Eddie Murray told me he's hit a lot of balls real well that just go to the warning track.
Eddie this year has hit only 2 of those home runs on the road, or rather at home. 1 just the other night for the Dodgers. Throw back to first, and easily back is Chris Gwynn. Nonetheless, Eddie's one of those rather charismatic characters up at the plate, though. Big, strong. Pitcher's got to be worried when you're facing Eddie Murray.
Well, everyone knows he can still hit the ball out of the ballpark.
Nice play by Quinones. Now Duncan, 2, a double play. Well turned.
For 2 guys who do not work together that often, it's a nice play, but Quinones has always been a good defensive infielder. Watch the feed is the point. Right there, perfect feed to Duncan. Now he can turn and get Murray at first base. The first throw is always the most important throw on any double play, and you can see that one is perfect. Nice play by Quinones.
2 down, nobody out. Here's Hubie Brooks, right-handed hitter. Foul ball. Murray is now grounded into 13 double plays this year. That leads the National League.
That surprises me a little bit, John, because he has a little uppercut in his swing, and I think he hit more fly balls than ground balls, especially with men on first base or first and second.
Backhanded by Sabo. He got it. But the Dodgers get a run. 2 hits. Dodgers 2, Cincinnati. John Miller and Joe Morgan from Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati. Sunday night baseball on ESPN every Sunday throughout the baseball season. Here you will find us. Here is Todd Benzinger, switch hitter, singled his first time. The Scroogie from Valenzuela, ball 1. 2-1 now. Los Angeles leading for the first time. Duncan and Quinones will follow Benzinger, former Boston Red Sox player.
I thought Benzinger had an interesting quote last week. He said, you know, true Lou Piniella should get a lot of credit for our turnaround this year. He said, but the players deserve all the credit. He said, Lou hasn't hit a ball for us. He hasn't pitched for us. We have done everything. The players deserve the most credit because they have worked very hard to get to this position. He said Lou deserves the credit because he showed us the way. He said, but the players are the ones that have worked so hard this year. Kind of interesting.
And playing it deep is Harris. A long throw, and he got him. Let's go back to that double play hit by Eddie Murray in the previous inning, Joe. Teach me something.
Well, I talked about not throwing a curveball so the guy could pull. What Mahler does here, he throws a sinker. Watch the ball start and then sink down and away to Eddie Murray. Right there it's up. Now it sinks down and away, and it's going down, down. Now Eddie can only hit that ball on the ground. So he ends up hitting into a double play. Now, if that was a slow curve, Eddie could have pulled that ball in the hole and probably gotten a base hit. So in that situation, you want to throw a sinker. And that's exactly what he did.
Fastball to Duncan in for a strike. Now, for Eddie Murray, what's he thinking up there when that pitch?
Well, Eddie thought the pitch was a straight fastball, and it was up a little bit to start with. But he committed himself a little too quickly. The ball started to go away, and he swung at it. And especially he wouldn't do that with no strikes on it. You know, you take that pitch normally.
So in other words, that's why Mahler's been around so long.
Exactly. I give Mahler credit for that more than I take anything away from Eddie Murray. The ball started up in the strike zone where Eddie felt like he could drive it, but as the ball approached the plate, it really started to dive away and sink away. And that's what you want in that situation, is a good sinker.
2-1 the count. There's a high drive deep down the left field line into the corner, and this one is gone. A home run. Duncan has tied it up.
Well, you see more mistakes from Valenzuela now than you did earlier in his career. He could get away with making mistakes before because he had a little more hop on his fastball. Now he can't get away. He makes a mistake, and he has to pay for it. That's what losing a foot on your fastball will do for you.
Quinones takes ball 1. 2-2 now in the last of the 4th inning. Ball 2. Quinones led off the 2nd inning with a double, but he was stranded at second base. And they have had some excellent swings against Fernando. We're only in the 4th.
Well, for Duncan, you know, is not known for his power. Scoscia again gives a low target. You can see that fastball is right in the middle of the plate, belt high and everything. He just turns on it, drives it right out of the ballpark.
And now Fernando follows up the gopher ball with 4 straight balls. Quinones drawing the walk, 2nd walk allowed by Fernando. The young Reds fan saying, I can't believe my eyes. What's happening here? Wow. More, she said. Here's Joe Oliver. He lined out to left field. Another one of those good swings against a Valenzuela offering. Runner at first, 1 out. Flying away, ball 1. Fernando had that stretch where earlier in his career you couldn't get him out of a ball game.
Right.
He had 20 complete games one year, and he also had some of those complete games where he threw 150, 160, 170 pitches.
And I think that wear and tear finally caught up with his arm a couple of years ago.
Scoscia with a nice catch. Oliver trying to drop the bunt down, and Scoscia with an acrobatic play.
Well, it's a real fine play from Scoscia. I'm not so sure I like the play from Oliver. I mean, bunting with the pitcher coming up next, but again, it's a very fine play by Scoscia. He's trying to bunt for a base hit, and Scoscia found the ball very quickly and makes a good dive, and he comes up with it. I think most managers would not like to see their 8th place hitter bunt in that situation if you're a guy like Oliver who can hit the ball out of the ballpark.
Now Mahler, the hitter, strike 1. Well, if he drops the bunt down, and even if he beats it out,
right,
you've got 1st and 2nd, but you don't have an RBI man at the plate.
Right, but not only that, he's got 5 home runs this year. He hit a couple of home runs to win ball games, and I guarantee you Lou Piniella doesn't like that.
Lou didn't look any too happy there.
No.
Screwball outside. A ball and a strike to count. Well, Oliver, young player.
Right.
Maybe that's a hard-earned lesson, a hard-learned lesson for him. Mahler flying to shallow center his first time. Usually puts the bat on the ball. Has not struck out this year at all. He broke his bat on that one. And Samuel throws him out. The Reds get the tying run, though, after 4. We're tied at 2. Sunday Night Baseball from Cincinnati. The Dodgers 2, the Reds 2. This is John Miller along with Joe Morgan, and Joe is much loved, and particularly here in Cincinnati. Congratulations to the college graduate, little Joe Morgan. Here's Mike Scoscia taking a curve from Mahler for strike 1. This is a year for congratulations on many fronts to Joe Morgan.
Yeah, it's been a great 1990 for me, John. Unbelievable to be exact. And it's funny because people here still refer to me as Little Joe. I'm a little bigger now. I wish I was still the same size.
Looking just as good as you ever did.
Actually, I am in pretty good shape, John. In fact, I'm going to start running with you before the Sunday night games.
Yeah, you see what good it's done for me. 1 ball, 1 strike to count to Scoscia. He grounded out his first time. Samuel and Griffin will follow. 2-2 the score in the 5th inning. Ooh, took a bad hop off the seam of the turf, but Benzinger stayed with it. And here is 1 away. Wow. Now coming up Tuesday, the Dodgers, of course, leave after the game tonight, but then the San Francisco Giants with the Pacific Stock Exchange, and they've been doing some real heavy hitting. They've added a new member. Not just Clark and Mitchell any longer, but now Clark, Mitchell, and Matt Williams. And then right after that one, it's the Detroit Tigers, Cecil Fielder, 25 homers, and the world champion Oakland Athletics. And, of course, Canseco is back as well. So all Tuesday, you'll be able to look at some of the great talent in Major League Baseball.
No doubt. I'll be watching. I know that. I enjoy having a chance to watch all these teams in action.
Caught by Sabo, and Samuel is retired.
Well, Samuel hit the ball hard down the right field line last time. This time, Mahler tries to come inside, and he turns on it. This is Sabo at third reacting to the line drive. He's playing shallow, as you can see, because he has to protect against the bunt. Samuel bunts well. See, that ball is down and in, and Samuel really turns on it, hits it hard. But when you're hitting 200, things go against you. You don't get the luck.
The Dodgers, I'm sure, at this point, as Griffin takes ball one, are happy just to see Samuel hit the ball hard twice like that.
Well, I was talking to Manny Mota, who was a hitting instructor before, and they've been trying to get Samuel to cut down on his swing and go the other way a little more. He went the other way the first time up, and then he forced Mahler to bring a pitch inside to him. He hit the ball hard, but right at the third baseman.
2 down, nobody on. 1-1 the count to Griffin, and ball 2 to Alfredo. There's the owner of the Cincinnati Reds signing an autograph for a young fan, Marge Schott. Drag bunt, but he didn't get it past Mahler, and Griffin is gone just like that. So we're halfway through it. Top of the order coming up for Cincinnati. Game tied.
Where can you go on Goodyear Wrangler radials? So where can you go on Goodyear Wrangler radials? Just about anywhere you want. Put on a set of Goodyear Wrangler radials, and you'll know why we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
Gentlemen, welcome this way. Beautiful thing.
Cool. Ed, look at this. What is it? It says to get Genie Rub Light.
Rub light?
Rub Light.
It says to get Genie Bud Light.
The clean, fresh taste of Bud Light won't fill you up and never lets you down.
Okay, Ed, now you get a wish.
Bud Light, because everything else is just a light.
If you've ever been stranded, you ought to get this new Interstate X2 booster. It's actually 2 batteries in one. So, when you run down your main battery, the extra booster battery starts your car. Interstate X2 booster. Best idea since a spare tire.
Nobody can give you a price to repair your exhaust system until they check it out. From here to here. At Midas, before you get a price, you get a free inspection. And you get a guaranteed estimate, so you'll know what it'll cost right up front. You get Midas-trained experts and a Midas guarantee.
And that guarantee is good in over 1,700 Midas shops all across the country.
When we give you a price, believe it. And believe this, nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
Back at Riverfront Stadium, Sunday night baseball. Don't forget, next Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Central. We'll be at the Metrodome. Get a look at the hard-hitting Minnesota Twins, Kent Herbeck, Kirby Puckett, Gary Gaetti, and the Baltimore Orioles under Frank Robinson, really struggling right now after being the great surprise team of the year last year.
And involved in controversy over the Cal Ripken situation.
Cal, by the way, had 3 hits today at Boston, even though the Orioles were shut out by the Red Sox. Had only 5 hits. He had 3 of them. He's had 3 hits in each of the last 4 games.
Well, maybe he's answering his critics that say he's tired.
Here is Sabo. He's flying to right center. He's grounded out to short. We'll ask Cal ourselves when we get there next Sunday to the Metrodome. One thing, when you ask other managers, ask Lou Piniella, ask Tommy Lasorda about Ripken's streak, first thing they'll tell you, and any manager will tell you, is what a great blessing to have a player who is ready and healthy and wanting to play every night. You can just know he's going to be in the lineup. 2-1 the count to Sabo. Tough play here for Harris. And the dirt, Murray scoops it out. There's 1 away.
Nice play by both Harris at third and Eddie Murray at first. You know, Eddie Murray is the only guy to lead both leagues in fielding. A lot of people think of Eddie, they think of his home run power and all that, but he's a good third first baseman as well. This is a very tough play, but Harris makes it pretty well. He charges, gets rid of it very quickly, and on the other end, Eddie Murray scoops it out. That's what those big gloves are for. But Eddie has led both the American League and the National League in fielding as a first baseman.
Billy Hatcher hits one to Griffin, and handled more easily by both Griffin and Murray there. 2 down.
We have Eric Davis in the way that you should pitch him. If you look at it, stay out of the middle of the plate. You can pitch him up and in, off the hands. That's where he's most vulnerable, and you can stay away from him like most hitters. But do not get the ball in this zone right here, because he will hammer it, and that's where he hits most of his home runs.
Don't get it into that red zone.
You can get the ball up and in because he drops his hands when he starts his swing, and it's tough to get him back up in time on a good fastball. But if you come inside, you better have a good fastball.
Strike one to Davis. He's walked, and he has grounded out to short. 2 down, nobody out. Strike 2, says Jim Quick.
All this has been set up by the first at bat, when Fernando pitched him inside with fastballs up and in, and a cut fastball or a slider inside. Now Eric Davis is looking for the ball inside. Now he stayed away for the first 2 pitches.
And he stays away for this one, too. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Will he keep staying away?
Well, I think he has to, because I think he's found that he cannot handle Eric Davis as well as he thought inside.
And there are very few pitchers who can.
Right. If you have a real good fastball, you can throw it up and in. But you can't come in there with an average fastball, and Fernando has an average fastball now.
2-2 pitch. Came in with that one, but missed with it.
Well, he wasn't going to throw it for a strike. He wanted Eric to chase a pitch off the plate, and if he gets it way off the plate, Eddie's going to hit it. I mean, Eric's going to hit it off the handle. He's not going to be able to drive it.
3-2 pitch. Screwball, and he struck him out.
Perfect pitch, perfect location.
3 up and 3 down. Valenzuela will lead it off in the 6th. Game tied at 2. Big crowd at Riverfront Stadium. Ball game in the pennant race, the Dodgers and the Reds, and there is Fernando Valenzuela. Still only 29 years of age. Coming out of Navojoa, Sonora, Mexico. He drove in a run with a sac fly his first time.
And takes a big cut. He is a hitter. He's not just a pitcher. He's a pitcher and a hitter.
Going for the downs on that one. 1 strike to Fernando. Fernando, great competitor, and he, of course, has been one of the great names in the game all through the 80s. Sad to see him have the arm troubles, but he's come back. He's doing well. Not what he once was, but still pitching well. He's out. 1 away.
We talked about how to pitch Eric Davis under his hands. That's the way Fernando pitched him the first time up. The other spot was out here. This time he goes away, and you'll see that's why he strikes him out. Those are the 2 places you would pitch Eric Davis. And Fernando throws the screwball right out there on the outside corner. Not a lot Davis can do about it. Good job of pitching there. He set him up for that pitch very well.
Now Rick Mahler goes to work against the Dodgers leadoff hitter Lenny Harris, and there's a strike. So we're getting a look here at a couple of pitchers who have to make those kind of pitches and are fully capable of doing so.
Well, at the beginning of the telecast, I said they both needed their control to be effective. Both of them have had good control. Mahler's been able to throw the fastball in the spots that he's wanted to, and Valenzuela did early in the ball game. Now he's able to throw a screwball where he wants to. And I think you'll see Mahler throwing a few more curveballs and off-speed pitches now that he's set the hitters up with his fastball.
Foul ball. Now, when Valenzuela made that pitch to Davis, and it was a beauty.
Right.
What could Davis do? There's nothing.
Nothing.
But what margin of error is there for Fernando on that pitch?
Very little margin for error. If he gets that ball over the middle, 6 more inches of the plate, and Davis would have dragged it someplace. There's the slow curveball I was talking about. And you're going to see more of those types of pitches from Mahler, and more screwballs I mentioned from Valenzuela as we go along.
2 down.
He threw him a fastball a pitch before, which gives him a look at one speed. Now he comes back with another speed. That's a big slow curveball right there. Not a lot again that Harris can do with it. See, he's way out in front of the pitch because he had seen the fastball a pitch before, and that sets you up.
Stan Javier into right center field. That one is into the alley. Cutting it off is Davis, but it is still a double for Javier. Now, had Davis not cut it off, maybe more.
And no one is swinging the bat better on the Dodgers than Javier. He was swinging the bat well last night. He had 4 base hits in last night's ball game, and now he comes back. He's got 2. It's a good play by Eric Davis, but that's why he wins Gold Gloves. He cuts off balls in the alley, and he leaps over tall buildings and makes catches. He's just a very fine outfielder, similar to the guy we'll see next week, Kirby Puckett.
Chris Gwynn, he drove in Javier the last time Javier got into second. That put the Dodgers ahead back in the 4th inning. We're in the 6th inning now. Since that go-ahead single by Gwynn, Mariano Duncan of the Reds has homered, and we're tied 2-2 in the 6th. Gwynn is 1 for 2. Javier has hit in 13 straight games, and he's had 20 hits in that time. There's a high drive deep into right. Braggs is back. He looks up, and this one is gone. A home run. A 2-run homer for Chris Gwynn. 4-2 Los Angeles. He's not somebody you normally associate with hitting a long ball either.
Well, he was turning on the ball, the curveball last time. And so he gets another breaking ball. He really turned on the ball. As you mentioned, Chris Gwynn is not noted for his power.
That's his second ever big league homer.
All right, watch the pitch. It goes down and in. It's a breaking ball, and most left-handers can really drive the ball when you get it down and in. And that's a curveball breaking down and in. Braggs goes back to the wall, but this is in the second deck. No chance.
Now here's Eddie Murray. 4-2 Los Angeles. Chris Gwynn having a big night with Cal Daniels out with an injury. Gwynn has come on with 2 for 3 and a home run, 3 batted in. Murray takes a fastball for a strike.
That was a pitch that Murray grounded into the double play on last time. He did learn something watching Mahler. There's Chris Gwynn. He's got to be very happy because a couple of weeks ago they were questioning whether he was going to get sent down or who was going down when they were bringing Kirk Gibson off of the disabled list.
And it is 2-1 to Eddie Murray.
I'd say he solidified his position here with the Dodgers after tonight's ball game.
And whoever it was decided to keep him also looking pretty good right now. I guess Fred Clare, GM, made that decision in concert with his manager, Tommy Lasorda. Fouled back by Eddie. 2-2 the count.
There's Chris Gwynn. He really looks a little bit like his brother body-wise, not a lot facially.
He set the NCAA record for most hits in a season back in 1984. Murray strikes out. Well, Mahler's handled Eddie Murray. He's 0 for 3, but it's Chris Gwynn who's killing him. 4-2 Dodgers. There's a young Reds fan who's looking rather pensive. The whole family looking pensive right now. What are we going to do, Mom? It's all right. They'll come back. Don't worry just yet. 4-2, Los Angeles ahead. Valenzuela to Glenn Braggs. Strike 1 right on that outside corner. This is John Miller along with Joe Morgan, your ESPN Sunday night baseball broadcasters. Braggs 0 for 2 against Fernando. 1 ball, 1 strike.
This is probably the first time that Braggs has had a chance to face Fernando. And until you see him, it takes a while to adjust to a pitcher like Fernando, especially a left-hander with a screwball, because most left-handers do not throw the screwball. Their fastball naturally tails away, but it's a lot faster. Another screwball.
And a beauty. Fernando physically resembles his fellow countryman, Teddy Higuera, former teammate of Glenn Braggs over in Milwaukee. Another fine left-hander. Higuera, however, has also been having injury problems. He's on the disabled list for the Brewers right now. Fernando's doing it on guile, not with the real hard stuff.
Well, he actually threw a high last inning of 86, which was the best fastball he's thrown. He used to be in the 88 to 90 range. I mean, a lot of people say, well, that's only 2 miles an hour. But when you take that 2 miles, 60 feet, 6 inches, it's a big difference. That 90 mile an hour fastball at 60 feet, 6 inches is a big difference over 86 miles over that 60 feet, 6 inches.
3-2 to Braggs.
When I faced Fernando, I had problems watching him because I'd watch his head because he looks up into the air like that. He takes his eyes off the plate, and then he comes back. I had to make sure that I really concentrated on his left arm and the delivery point, because you find yourself looking up or looking away a little bit because he looks away.
What's he looking at?
He closes his eyes.
That's foul Hit straight back by Braggs. Out of play. 3-2. 4-2. The Dodgers ahead. We're in the last of the 6th inning. Benzinger on deck, and then Duncan. Meanwhile, Seattle with a big lead down in Arlington, Texas against the Rangers. That screwball is popped up. Scoscia gives chase. Can't quite get to it.
Braggs is having a lot better swings at Valenzuela this time than he has any time during the ball game. Valenzuela is throwing screwballs away and fastballs in, and he's had some pretty good cuts at it.
Lou Piniella and Tony Perez made a little bit of an adjustment with Braggs. They had him lower his hands a little bit. He feels that has really helped him.
What lowering your hands does sometimes is makes them more active. It gives you some movement. And you can't hit from a dead stop. You have to start your hands before you can actually swing the bat forward. And so if you drop them, it gives you a place to start from. You actually start your bat a little sooner.
Little looper. It's falling, and it's in there. Base hit. So Braggs really battled Valenzuela, and he wins the duel. Didn't hit it hard, but he got himself on base, which is what they need.
Well, again, that's, you know, he was really battling at the plate, so it's a good at bat. Valenzuela tries to come inside with the cut fastball, and Braggs fights it off, hits it toward the end of the bat, and he bloops it into shallow center field.
Here's Benzinger now. Runner at first, with the Reds trailing 4-2. Explain what you mean cut fastball.
All right, a cut fastball breaks like a slider, meaning throwing it from the left-handed breaks in on the right-handed hitter. The advantage of a cut fastball is there is no rotation on it. So if you throw a slider or a curveball, it has a hole in it because the seams are spinning in a different direction. So there's a hole in a slider and a hole in a curveball, so the hitter can see that. A cut fastball, there's no hole in it because the spin is so tight, and it's a more effective pitch if you can control it.
That's foul. 1 ball, 1 strike to Benzinger. So if you're a pitcher, why not throw that instead of the slider?
Well, everyone can't control it, for one thing. And then one other thing about the cut fastball, it's really what the old-timers used to call a slider. It stays on the same plane. It just moves across and into the hitter, which confuses him. What they call a slider now breaks down and across, so the hitter can see the hole in it. I think a cut fastball is a lot more effective, except you have to do it and get it in the right spot. A good slider is only effective if it breaks a lot. You fool a guy with the speed if it breaks a lot.
There's a breaking ball. Samuel gets the lead runner Braggs at second with Griffin covering. Benzinger safe at first on the force out.
One of the problems that, you know, Samuel has had is he's played the outfield for a long time. He should really charge this ball. See, he waits on it. He waits too long, which gets your shortstop in trouble. And there's nothing that Griffin can do except take the one at second base. Samuel should have caught that ball about 5 feet closer in, and he would not have been able to, would have not have had a chance for Braggs to go in and upset Griffin if he would have come in 5 feet closer.
Now Mariano Duncan, the former Dodger. He homered in the 4th inning right down the left field line against Fernando. 1 ball and no strikes to Mariano. 4-2, Los Angeles ahead. Making a lot of noise now are the fans here at Riverfront Stadium. In the 6th. Up the middle and through. Base hit. Stopping at second is Benzinger. Duncan with his 2nd straight hit. Two men on and 1 man out as Valenzuela is in trouble now. And Quinones is coming up.
Well, you can see right there Valenzuela motioning to Scoscia, got the ball up. He wanted that ball down, but he got it up, and Duncan was able to guide it back through the middle. He didn't hit it that hard, but he hit it in the right spot.
Ron Pernoski, the pitching coach. The man you couldn't see in that picture was manager Tommy Lasorda, and Pernoski apparently talking to Lasorda about what he's seeing from Valenzuela. There's that cut fastball again.
Right.
Now the Cincinnati bullpen is going to get busy here. Interestingly enough.
That's Charlton on the right.
Both left-handers, as you can see. Now the pitcher with Quinones up is still 2 batters away from coming to bat in the inning. Nice pitch by Fernando. He got Quinones to chase a bad one. There's Sam Perlazzo, the former New York Mets third base coach, and he landed on his feet. Here was Cincinnati, and he's back in first place under Lou Piniella. However, the Mets are not doing too badly themselves at the moment.
They're starting to make a run.
As are the Reds in this game, trailing 4-2, 2 men on. And the curveball is in there. 1-2.
Lou Piniella, the manager of the Reds, and the guy that is really taking control of this franchise. And I think, as he said, we're not through making deals. We're going to make this into a solid franchise for a long period of time. And he's probably going to be just the right guy for this situation.
That will go foul down the left field line. 1-2 the count to Quinones. You've got Benzinger at second base, Mariano Duncan at first base with 1 out. Tommy Lasorda. He must have total confidence in Fernando. Was that he's trying to suppress a yawn there? How dull watching Fernando have to
struggle out
wriggle off the hook. Yeah.
98 total pitches so far.
And that one is foul.
Nice catch by the ball boy down the left field line.
Yeah, I was a Joe Morgan fan when he was growing up. There's Benzinger at second base. There's Duncan at first. Duncan has excellent speed. He is the possible tying run of the game. 1 out in the 6th. The outfield way over toward left. The right fielder for the Dodgers, Hubie Brooks, is way over in the right center. Broken bat looper along the line. Fair ball. Benzinger will score. The throw to third, too late, and into second base goes Quinones. It's 4-3, Los Angeles. Gwynn may have thrown to the wrong base on that one.
Well, no doubt he should have thrown the ball to second base. You don't let this go-ahead run go into scoring position. You try to keep the double play in order. This throw should have gone to second base. He had an outside chance of getting Duncan going to third, but not a real good shot. If he would have thrown to second base, he could have kept Quinones at first, and a double play would still be in order to get out of the inning. Now there are runners at second and third, no double play situation.
Now Joe Oliver, who is lined to left, and a pop foul on a bunt attempt. Dodgers are going to get their bullpen busy now. Both bullpens are busy.
First base is open, but with the pitcher spot on deck, Lasorda figures they would pinch hit.
Here is Tim Cruz, big right-hander, warming up in the Los Angeles bullpen. Four to 3, the Dodgers and Valenzuela still leading. But the Reds are just a base hit away from taking the lead themselves. Ball 2. There's Mariano Duncan at third base now. And Quinones, they gave him a double on that, which I'm having a hard time understanding.
No, I think it should have been a single and a throw. He went to second on a throw to third. There's a good piece of base running by Duncan. He really hustled to get around to third. But there's no way that Quinones could have gone to second if the throw would have gone to second base from the left fielder.
I agree. That was a single all the way. Took second on the ill-advised throw by Gwynn. Cut fastball. Ball 3. 3-0 to Oliver.
The one thing that Valenzuela has always been able to do is pitch well in trouble. Be able to get out of trouble. There's Rick Mahler. He's on deck. But if Oliver doesn't get the runners in, or at least a tying run in, I'm sure they will pinch hit for him. But Valenzuela has always been able to pitch out of tough situations. And that's what separates the good pitchers from the average pitchers.
That fastball's in there. 3-1 the count. Duncan at third, Quinones at second. 4-3 the score. The Dodgers ahead. One man that is available off the bench is a fellow named Barry Larkin. That's why Cruz is warming up in the bullpen. One of the reasons. 3-1 delivery. Full foul by Oliver. Mahler jammed him, and Oliver may have swung at ball 4.
Well, he also jammed Quinones, and Quinones blooped it down the left field line. Fernando's been very unlucky this inning, actually, John, because remember Braggs blooped the ball into center field off of a good pitch, and Quinones gets a double off of another good pitch. So it's not that he's pitching poorly this inning. His luck has not been too good.
Dodgers infield back in normal depth, by the way. 3-2 pitch. Hot foul right back toward Joe Morgan.
I'm glad it fell short. The reason you play the infield back here is because you cannot afford to play the infield tight and cut down on your range and possibly let a weak ground ball go through the infield and put the go-ahead run at the plate, drive him in, that is. So you concede the tying run, but you do not want to give away the go-ahead run.
3-2 to Oliver. And here it comes. Down the left field line. And it will drop untouched in foul ground. Gwynn just didn't have time to get to it. The ball wasn't hit that high in the air. And on this artificial turf, Gwynn is playing way off the foul line.
Another good pitch by Fernando. He jammed Oliver, but Oliver was able to move it down the left field line. See, all these jam jobs are where that 2 miles an hour he's lost on his fastball comes into play. If he's throwing the ball a little harder, I guarantee you the ball that Braggs hit would not have been a base hit, neither would the one Quinones hit. He made good pitches, but they didn't quite get there quick enough.
And that's been a problem recurring throughout the night, having a hard time putting hitters away. 3-2 pitch again. That is foul. Had he not swung at that, or had the ball not hit the bat, it looked like he was trying to check his swing. I think that would have hit the dirt. 3-2 to Oliver. Back to third base goes Duncan. Quinones back to second base. Quinones really the man who's in there because Larkin's getting the rest, and he has had 2 doubles and he's drawn a walk. Canelo saying with some of the moves they have made the last couple of weeks, their depth is much better than what it has been, and we're getting a look at some of it tonight, right here in this inning, in fact. Valenzuela and Oliver, they try it again. Base hit. Duncan with a tying run, and they'll hold Quinones at third. Back to first, just a little late. That pinch hitter, and we'll see what Tommy Lasorda does in response. There's a happy owner. The Reds are going to the bench to hit for Mahler.
Well, Duncan just comes in to score. He's the tying run.
And there is the man who brought him home, Joe Oliver, over at first base. And we've got a pinch hitter, and it is none other than Barry Larkin. Four to 4 in the 6th inning. 2 runs in for the Reds. Norm Charlton is now the only man throwing in the Cincinnati bullpen. And there's somebody campaigning for Barry Larkin to make the All-Star team.
He definitely deserves to be there.
Larkin is hitting .328. The infield double play depth. Strike 1. They're chanting his name at Riverfront Stadium. Tim Cruz still out there in the Dodger bullpen. And with good reason, Tommy Lasorda does not have a whole lot of confidence in his bullpen. He's staying with Valenzuela, and you might have thought he'd make a move here.
Well, his bullpen has really struggled this year, and including Jay Howell, their stopper, so he does not have a lot of confidence there, as you mentioned.
Just missed, and Fernando, I think he wanted that call. There is Quinones over at third base, and Joe Oliver over at first. Murray right there with him. Larkin has grounded into only 3 double plays all year. Fernando has thrown 31 pitches in this inning alone.
He threw 32 in the first, I believe, at least 32.
And a looper. In a hurry, it's going to fall. And everybody's safe. Quinones scores 5-4 Cincinnati.
The Reds have scored three runs this inning, and they haven't hit a ball hard yet off Valenzuela. This is just a little fly ball over first base. Samuel tries the only play that he thinks he has a shot at, and that's to throw to second base, but Oliver beats it very easily. So, being perfectly honest with you, Valenzuela has just not had any luck. All these balls could have been caught. None of them have been hit hard, but yet and still he put 3 runs on the board.
And they've had 5 hits in the inning, and 4 consecutive hits. Well, that was really a strange-looking hit there by Larkin.
Well, he hit it on the end of the bat, and it was tailing away from Samuel, and wasn't anything he could do with it. But that's the one thing about the Reds. They do put the ball in play, and when you put it in play, you have a chance of getting a base hit.
Now, had Murray not been holding Oliver on the bag at first, he probably catches that one easily.
Very easily, but it was a little fly ball over his head. Nothing he could do about it. Nothing Samuel could do because he was playing close to second base for the double play.
Chris Sabo coming up now. 3 runs for the Reds and counting. The Reds, they put the ball in play. They got some guys who make contact. Ball 1. Sabo is 0 for 3. 9 hits for the Reds in the game now. 5 in this inning. A motley collection of bloops and dunks and rollers.
I just really like to know what's going through Fernando's head right now.
That's foul.
He's saying I'm making all kinds of good pitches, and they're hitting the ball off the end of the bat. I jam them. They still get a base hit. You see, showed a little frustration right there. He's pounding the ball in his glove, but he has hit the ball. They have hit the ball everywhere but on the meat of the bat, off the end, off the handle, and they're still getting base hits.
Well, and you talk about frustration. Nobody knows better than Fernando that a lot of those might have just been strikeouts or routine plays 3 years ago.
Exactly.
Will often call that play. One time, a number of years back, he ended a game while with Baltimore in Oakland. The bases were loaded in the last of the 9th, and Ricky Henderson was the runner at first. Eddie called that play, totally shocked and surprised Henderson, tagged him out for the final out of the game. There's a high drive. Wynn looks up, gone, a home run.
Well, they had a bloop, and a blast. And that'll get you a lot of runs, a lot of bloops, and a big blast. And Chris Sabo is greeted by the other Reds.
Cruz is coming in. The Cincinnati Reds have busted it open, a 6-run sixth against Valenzuela. The last 3 of which score on the Sabo homer. Here is Tim Cruz to Billy Hatcher for strike 1. And I think you said it eloquently, Joe. Bloop, 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 and then a blast. Murray to Cruz, just in time to get the speedy Hatcher.
That's exactly what happened. The Reds kept blooping him in until they got a guy up and he hit a blast. So Fernando threw a lot of pitches in the ball game. He may have tired before he could have gone much further anyway. 115 pitches. But, you know, here's Tim Cruz. He will be the new Dodger pitcher. And his job is to try to hold him and give the Dodgers a chance to come back in the 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Here's Eric Davis. Davis has walked, grounded out, struck out. Takes strike 1. 8-4 Cincinnati. What a awesome turnaround here.
It's unbelievable. They've been scoring runs in bunches. You know, they had a big inning last night against Tim Belcher.
In the 4th inning last night, they scored 8 times en route to an 11-6 victory. There's Fernando in the dugout. He threw 35 pitches in that inning.
And I tell you, I would really like to know what's going through his head, because I know he has to be upset. Any pitcher would be.
Fernando has given up 1 run more in this game in 5 1/3 innings than he had given up in his last 4 starts combined. Harris throws out Davis. Every Red comes to bat in the inning. 9 of them. 6 of them score. And at the end of 6, 8-4 Cincinnati. Back in Cincinnati at Riverfront Stadium, the House of Thrills, 8-4. The Reds ahead. Changes now. Mariano Duncan has moved over from short to play second base, and Barry Larkin stays in the game in at his familiar shortstop position. And the new pitcher is the left-hander Norm Charlton, and that means the Dodgers are having to face the Nasty Boys. First batter against Charlton is Hubie Brooks. Charlton will hit in the number 7 spot, as Quinones is the man who has left the game.
Well, they've only been kind of naughty boys lately, John. They haven't been quite as nasty. They've blown a couple of saves and lost a couple of ball games lately.
There's Braggs, 1 away, and Hubie Brooks is 0 for 3. The Nasty Boys, Rob Dibble, Norm Charlton, Randy Myers, they all throw real hard, and they all get an awful lot of strikeouts. Look at those strikeouts per innings pitched numbers. 14.6 per 9 innings, 10.6 for 9 for Charlton, 11.6 for 9 for Myers. Here's Scoscia. Charlton, each one of the Nasty Boys has a nickname. Charlton's is the Genius. He had a triple major at Rice University. Got his degree. And it is ball 2. 2-0 the count. Pinella talking about maybe juggling the way he was going to use these guys.
Well, because they haven't been as consistent lately as they were before, he's thinking about putting Randy Myers in the stopper role. Maybe just bringing Myers in the 9th inning to close out ball games rather than using him for a couple of innings here and there, and using Dibble and also Charlton the same way. He's thinking about just making Myers the stopper.
That's foul. Myers has 13 saves, but you see Dibble under his saves and opportunities had 7 saves, but he's had 12 save chances. And he's allowed a lot of his runners inherited to score.
So basically, looking at that chart, he has missed 5 save chances. Myers has only missed 3 out of 16. He's missed 5 out of 12. Which doesn't mean they lost the game, but it means he did not get the save.
Pinella also said that although Myers will be the number 1 closer, that he would also maybe slip Charlton in there in spots where he had been slipping Dibble in there instead. So really the roles that are more changed than any others are those of Charlton and Dibble.
And Dibble, yes.
He said Dibble hasn't had the problems with his fastball. I mean, he throws extremely hard, but Dibble's had some problems with some hanging sliders.
Hanging sliders will give you problems.
That's
Dibble on the left.
I guess anybody's going to have some trouble if they're hanging those sliders.
Yes,
yeah?
they will.
And it is 3-2.
The reason it's tougher if you hang a slider than it is if you hang a fastball or curve is because the slider, if it's hanging, becomes a mediocre fastball.
3-2 to Scoscia, who's 0 for 2. Samuel is on deck. 8-4, the Reds lead. And that one is foul. Charlton had a triple major of political science, religion, and physical education at Rice University. They say that he is the least emotional of the nasty boys. By the way, the term nasty boys, I guess they dreamed that up themselves.
No, it comes from that song. I forget Janis Jackson's song, Nasty Boys.
Right, but I mean, they decided to apply it to themselves. Now they've got Nasty Boys T-shirts. And what is it? NBC Television's got some kind of a program. Nasty Boys, and they're capitalizing on it.
Yeah, they are.
And that one is foul. Well, Scoscia's hanging tough. 3-2 the count.
Scoscia doesn't play very often against left-handers, so this is a battle for him. Rick Dempsey usually starts when a left-hander starts for the opposition.
I talked to Dempsey a little bit before the game. I talked to him. He hasn't played in 6 years. And another foul. Dempsey's past 40. He's become one of those rare players who has played in parts of 4 different decades. And yet Rick still feels he should be playing 160 games a year.
Well, if you're Tommy Lasorda, you want him to feel that way, but it's just not practical. But you want him to at least feel like, hey, I can go out there anytime you need me.
Actually quite a character. 3-2 pitch, and he fouls another one off. Charlton took that throwback from Rob Dibble barehanded. It was a rather nasty looking thing to do. The genius, Norm Charlton. Joe, did you have a triple major?
No, I had 2.
A double major?
No, they were at different times.
3-2 pitch, and another foul. One came up and got it.
Heck, John, I was smart. I went and played baseball as quick as possible.
That's why I call you the genius. 8-4, Cincinnati ahead. What a turnaround. The Dodgers no sooner had put 2 runs on the board in the 6th inning on a Chris Gwynn home run to lead 4-2 than the Reds came storming back with 6 runs in the last of the 6th. And finally Scoscia gets a hard-earned walk. He battled for that one. 1 out, 1 on. The batter will be Juan Samuel. Rick Mahler, the starter, is the pitcher of record for a win tonight. It's nice to be pitching for a ball club that scores 6 runs in an inning rather frequently. Samuel has hit the ball hard twice, once a double to right, and once a liner right to Chris Sabo at third, so he's 1 for 2. Mahler gave up 5 hits and 3 strikeouts.
There you see how Samuel has gone downhill since 1972.
Little bloop. It's going to fall. Base hit. Scoscia will head for third. Well, again, as you mentioned earlier, Joe, wanting him to go to right, he's gone that way twice, and each time for a hit.
Well, I think he needs to do that until he gets his feet back on the ground, until he gets a lot of confidence in his ability to go back and hit the ball back through the middle. Charlton throws a fastball on the inside part of the plate, and Samuel is a little late on it, but he also seemed to be going that way as well. So maybe it's starting to click in for him by hitting the ball the other way.
Infield double play depth. Strike 1 to Griffin. 8-4 the score. The Dodgers have bullpen activity. Throw to second, just in time. The first impulse for Charlton was to check Scoscia. Scoscia went back. He almost was too late to get Samuel.
Right. The proper play is to check Scoscia because it was not a double play ground ball. If it's a one hopper back to the pitcher, he's supposed to just turn and go to second base and forget about Scoscia at third. But because it wasn't a double play ball, he did not want to run the score.
There is Mickey Hatcher. He's coming up to pinch hit for Tim Cruz, which is why the Dodgers have all of that activity going in their bullpen. We're in the 7th inning. Runners at first and third. 2 down now. Ball strike to Hatcher.
This is a very important run at third base for the Dodgers. If they could score here, they're right back in the ball game. But if Charlton can wiggle his way off the hook, it's going to be tough for the Dodgers the last 2 innings.
And it's a foul. Hatcher has been an excellent pinch hitter. 6 pinch hits and 15 at bats. A .400 average as a pinch hitter. He's really made himself a valuable player. He plays the outfield, all around the infield. He's a pinch hitter. Whatever they wanted to do, he does. Mickey Hatcher. He's hitting .246 overall. One of the heroes of the 1988 World Series for the Dodgers.
I think he was the hero here along with Orel Hershiser. But he was playing every day, so he was getting an opportunity to produce more. Hershiser, of course, pitched 3 great ball games, but Hatcher was kind of the inspiration for the everyday players.
Mike Hartley, who had been throwing in the Dodger bullpen, now has come into the Dodger dugout and put a jacket on. Right to Larkin. Right to Duncan. Griffin is forced. The Dodgers are gone, and they do not score. 8-4 Cincinnati.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, brought to you by Mitsubishi, bringing you a full line of award-winning automobiles. See them all at your Mitsubishi Motors dealer. By Wagner, power painting that's not just a whole lot faster, but a whole lot better. And by Midas and its dealers across the country. Nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
Fans at Riverfront Stadium taking their 7th inning stretch. And they're in a mood to celebrate, leading 8-4 on the Reds. They win this ball game. The Dodgers will leave town 10.5 games behind. 8-4, the Reds lead the Dodgers. A new Dodger pitcher has entered the fray. Here's Mike Hartley out there visiting with Mike Scoscia on the mound. He is the 3rd Dodger pitcher of the game.
Well, I guess Mike Hartley, is a guy that the Dodgers had a lot of confidence in, as a minor leaguer, and they felt like when he came to the major leagues, he would make a big impact. So far, he's given up 3 more hits than innings pitched. And if you give up more hits than innings pitched, you're always going to be pitching out of a jam unless you are a strikeout pitcher.
Glenn Braggs is the hitter. Braggs 1 for 3 tonight. It was his bloop single that started it all after a real battle with Valenzuela. Started that 6-run, 6-inning rally. Hartley, 28 years of age. He's from Southern California originally. 1 ball, 1 strike to count. He's been pitching for a long, long time. Finally got his first look in the major leagues last year. First year in professional ball, 1982. So he's really persevered. The 1-1 pitch on the way. Misses with the fastball. He's pitched in places like Johnson City, Macon, Erie, Springfield, Savannah, Bakersfield, San Antonio, Albuquerque. And finally, in the show. Out of play off to the right. If you'd not been brought up after 6 or 7 years, would you still have played?
Well, I think it's all a matter of whether you feel like you're making progress or not. If you feel like you're going forward a little bit, maybe it's slow progress, but at least you're making some. You never want to give up that dream until you know it's shattered completely. So I can really identify with these guys that stay a long time.
And he strikes out Glenn Braggs. There is one away.
You grew up as a little kid. All you ever want to do is play in the major leagues. And so you don't want to give up that dream any quicker than you have to. You have to give it up, you do. But 6 years is not that long, as we see Hartley throws a good little slider to Braggs, and Braggs goes down swinging.
Here's Todd Benzinger. Benzinger 1 for 3. 8-4 Cincinnati leading in the last of the 7th. Well, the Dodgers, one of the old-time Dodger greats was a guy who went through the minors for a long, long time. Maury Wills.
Right, exactly.
And he, all of a sudden, he was about, what, 29, 30 years of age, 10, 11 years in the minor leagues. Pee Wee Reese finally hung him up. And the rest, of course, as we know, is history.
Well, Maury also learned to switch hit his last couple of years in the minor leagues, and that's what turned his career around. But you know, it's hard to say when you've had enough. You know, you play baseball, you love the game, and you never want to give it up. I mean, that goes for guys in the major league like myself. I never wanted to quit, but you know, there comes a time when you have to. But baseball is kind of a magnet like that. You never want to give it up. It just keeps drawing you back. And I think that's what happens to a lot of guys in the minor leagues. They say, I'm going to play one more year, and if I don't get a chance to go to the major leagues, I'm going to quit. But when that year is over and spring training rolls around, they say, I'm going to give it one more shot. And they continue to do that. But I really think it's great, because I think guys that play in the minor leagues serve as bigger purpose as the guys in the major league. Because you have to have someone for the major leaguers to play against who are on their way up, and someone to compare them against.
Benzinger with a new bat. Strike 2. 33,760 the paid crowd tonight. Sunday night in Cincinnati. There's a look at it at Riverfront Stadium. And they're all glad they came.
Yes, they are.
It's like the old days, Joe. It's like the Big Red Machine. 6 runs in the 6th inning.
They do it a little differently than the Reds of the 70s did, but they get the job done just as well. In fact, I think they do it a little more with hustle than muscle. We did it with a little bit of both. They had Bench and Perez and Foster and guys like that who could really hit the ball out of the ballpark. I think that is the big difference between the two ball clubs.
3-2 the count. And Morgan.
Well,
you hit your fair share.
I dropped in a few, but the big guys were Bench, Perez, and Foster. Those are the guys that you knew were going to hit 30 to 40 home runs every year.
3-2 pitch from Hartley, and he walks Benzinger. So with 1 out, Benzinger draws the walk, and that brings up Mariano Duncan. He's had a fine night tonight. He's grounded out, homered, and he singled and scored a run in that 6th inning rally. He scored the tying run of the game. Twice he scored the tying run of the game.
Well, the second time on the blooper by Quinones down the left field line, he really made a great base running play. Not only did he get himself to third, but he got Quinones to second, because they took a shot at him at third. So that was a very key point in this ballgame.
There's also a key point to be made about the way this version of the Reds plays the game, because they put pressure on you that way.
Well, that's why I say hustle instead of muscle. But they are a good ball club, and I'm impressed by the way that I'm impressed more by the way they put the ball in play. If you put the ball in play, you can make things happen. Even though those bloops were falling in, if they would not have put the ball in play, they would not have been base hits.
Hubie Brooks waiting for it. Number 2. Duncan is now 2 for 4. Now the pitcher, Norm Charlton, will come up to bat. Eddie Murray over at first base with Todd Benzinger. The Dodgers are going to Atlanta right after this ball game, and coming right here, they might even be here by now, the San Francisco Giants. Everybody taking their shot, taking their best shot at the Reds, trying to cut into that lead.
And no one has really been able to do it here in Cincinnati. The Giants beat them in San Francisco, and the Astros beat them in Houston. But since the Reds have returned home, they've been able to boost that lead back up to 8.5, and if they win this ball game, they'll be back up to 9. over both the Giants and San Diego. But the one thing I will say is that the Giants have a lot of character. They will not quit. The Giants will keep firing at them until the end, and I think that's the team that's going to give them the most trouble down the stretch.
Wow, swung the bad ball there. In the National League West, the Padres lost today. They'll fall to 9 games back if Cincinnati wins this one. So will the Giants, who lost in Houston. The Dodgers would be 10.5 back with a loss. The Giants did gain a lot of ground, but they were the ones who had the most
to make up. They started at the bottom on May 29th.
That one hits Charlton. A breaking ball, and he's looking rather nastily. Out of the pitcher, Hartley. I don't know how Hartley was trying to hit him with a slider.
Well, it was definitely a breaking ball. The ball bounces in front of the plate. No, it hits him right on the right calf. It's a breaking ball, though, and he locks there, and he can't get out of the way. But Charlton was not happy with it. But Hartley looks right at him, and I think that's the way to do it.
He looked rather nasty himself, looking right back at Charlton. 2 on, 2 out. Here is Joe Oliver, the catcher. Oliver got a run-scoring single in that 6th inning, a big one. That tied the game. 8-4, the Reds leading now. Foul off the mask of Mike Scoscia. I know Elrod Hendricks been around a long, long time in the game. And in response to somebody saying, why would he get mad when it was obvious that the guy was not trying to hit him? And Elrod says, I'll tell you why he gets mad. Because it hurts.
Right. I was going to say that was a spot that it could hurt. Because it was toward his right shin. And you don't have a lot of protection down that part of your leg.
2 on, 2 out. And a base hit down the line. Benzinger will score. Charlton is going to try and score. Griffin's relay. A collision. Scoscia drops the ball.
This was not a real wise play by Charlton. The third base coach is holding him up, but he's going all the way. Scoscia tries to block the plate, but Charlton is coming after him. He did not go after the plate. You can see he's going after Scoscia. He did not go after the plate.
I think Charlton just wanted a piece of it.
Yeah, he did.
Wanted a piece of Benzinger, too.
I think after he got hit, he wanted a piece of anybody, but the third base coach was definitely trying to hold him up.
He didn't understand that Charlton had a whole separate agenda.
Right.
I want them to make a play on me. Whether I'm safe or out is irrelevant. Well, he put the heart into Scoscia. Charlton, it is a Cincinnati year. It's looking like, isn't it?
Yes, it does.
Wow. 10-4 Cincinnati. We're back in Cincinnati, and that's Cal Daniels, a former member of the Reds, and he's hollering at somebody up in the stands there, Joe.
Well, they're all upset. I think, you know, the Dodgers are losing, and they're in danger of falling back further in the standings, and obviously they're not happy.
This is a pinch hitter, Mike Sharperson, batting for Lenny Harris. It is 10-4 Cincinnati. A rather impressive display of baseball intimidation by Norm Charlton. I'd hate to think what Charlton would have done had Hartley actually tried to hit him with that pitch instead of just hitting him with a slider on which Charlton never even moved 1 inch.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't as though Hartley hit him. He allowed himself to be. He looked like Ron Hunt up there.
Right. He definitely did not move.
Sharperson gets the base hit. Don Baylor, I thought, taught him that move. This is Javier, base hit. Texas artificial turf action over here in the National League. Well, Charlton, after all of that base running, is now having a little harder time tending to his real business.
Yes, he is.
When's the last time you saw something quite like that, Joe?
Well, I don't think I've ever seen a pitcher just so intent on hitting someone to run through a sign at third and then just take a bead on the catcher, but that's basically what he did. But he's big enough to do that.
You know, they talk about Willie Mays would take out some revenge sometime, timing a run toward home plate to get there so he could put the hurt on a catcher.
Well, most of the time they take it out on the second baseman or the shortstops because they're usually the smallest guys.
Well, Scoscia is one of those guys who's going to block the plate. He's been involved in a lot of collisions over the years. He's been put on the shelf a couple of times with injuries. There goes Javier from first. They're absolutely uninterested in him running over there. He's in there. They may not even give him credit for a steal on that.
They did in this case.
The rule book saying if there's an advance like that because of the disinterest of the defensive team, you don't have to. But he's over there, and Quinn fouls it back. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, I think you should always get a stolen base if you take off. If they don't want to throw you out, it's their business. I don't think it should be up to the official score. The rules say if you start and they don't, then it's a stolen base.
Here's the 1-2 pitch on the way. He struck him out. So Gwynn has had a big night. Single, a homer, 3 RBIs. Not this time against Norm Charlton.
As you mentioned, Gwynn has hit a home run, and he's also hit a single and driven in 3 runs, but it's a sinker going down and in, and Gwynn can't do much with it.
Here's Eddie Murray. He'll bat right-handed now. 2 times this year, Eddie has hit a home run left-handed and a home run right-handed in the same game. And he's done that 10 times in his career. The only other player ever to do that was Mickey Mantle. Strike 1. And I mean to do it 10 times in a career.
That's pretty good company.
Murray last, what was it, 3 years ago, I believe, at Comiskey Park in Chicago, while still with the Orioles, did it in consecutive games. The only time anybody's ever done that. Broken bat pop-up. Larkin out. Davis can't quite get to it. It's a base hit. Scoring is Sharperson. Stopping at third is Javier. And it is 10-5. There's nobody at first base, so finally Joe Oliver goes over there. And Murray, rather playfully, takes a swipe at it.
Well, automatically you start back when Eddie Murray takes that big swing. Davis comes up with it. He doesn't see right here, but he had a play at third base because Javier was like in between. He didn't know what to do, and he could have gotten him at third base, but he didn't see him quick enough.
So there's Javier at third base. And Eddie Murray over at first. Murray, the broken bat, gets his 35th RBI. Here's Hubie Brooks trying to get one here. Swing, he's trying to get 3.
Well, in this situation, that's what the Dodgers need. And Eddie Murray and Hubie Brooks and Mike Scoscia are their leading home run hitters. So those are the guys, I should say, leading home run hitters in the game. Cal Daniels is not in the ball game. These are the guys that can get you 3 runs in a hurry.
Murray back easily at first. Now, last night's game here, the Reds had an 8-run 4th inning and were ahead 9-3. But later in the game, all of a sudden, it was 9-6. Dodgers mounted a comeback. 0-2. Dodgers have activity in their bullpen again. We were in the 8th inning. Cincinnati 10, the Dodgers 5. The Reds are not just leading this ball game. As you see Jim Gott warming up in the bullpen for the Dodgers.
There's a fly ball.
Go ahead. That was good. It's caught by Hatcher. And Javier scores on the sacrifice fly, and it's 10-6. This
is a play that Charlton's coming around on. The throw to Griffin and the throw to the plate. And Charlton runs into Scoscia. He's already there.
Tell you what, Scoscia may have gotten the last word in. It looked like he buried Charlton's face right in the dirt. Here's Scoscia now facing Charlton. Strike one. It's so amazing to see that from a pitcher. This Charlton is supposed to be the mild-mannered one of the nasty boys. That's foul. Maybe there's something happening here we don't even know about. I mean, Charlton gets hit by a slider on which he does not even move. And obviously he was upset. He was hurt. Now later on, he's looking to put the hurt to somebody.
Well, I think he would have done the same thing at third base or any place if there would have been a play there.
And he strikes out Scoscia. The best revenge of all. 2 runs for the Dodgers, 3 hits, 1 left. The Reds 10, the Dodgers 6.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, brought to you by Daihatsu. Since 1907, the small car specialist from Japan. By MetLife. And by Busch Beer, the beer with a taste as smooth as its name.
This is John Miller along with Joe Morgan. We're in Cincinnati. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. Next Sunday we'll be at the Metrodome as the Orioles take on the Minnesota Twins. Now the Reds, quite an impressive night for them tonight. Next week we'll see Puckett and Herbeck, Gaetti, Cal Ripken.
And they can put these kind of numbers on the board as well.
Sure can. Here's Chris Sabo leading off for the Reds here in the 8th inning. But this is our first look at the Reds on Sunday Night Baseball this year, and what an impressive ball club.
Well, like I say, the impressive thing to me is that they put the ball in play. They make you work for all 27 outs.
Sabo, in his first at-bat after his 3-run homer that busted this one open, and has a rather unimpressive return. He is quickly retired. He is now 1 for 5. There's Sharperson staying in the ballgame to play third for the Dodgers. We're in the last of the 8th inning. Cincinnati 10, the Dodgers 6. Mike Hartley on the mound for Los Angeles, the third pitcher of the game. Here is Billy Hatcher. Hatcher 1 for 4 in the game. We've seen the... That's a little close.
Look at Mike Scoscia. You see dirt on his back. You don't see that very often. He blocks the plate as well as anyone I've ever seen play the game. He will not let you score very easily. And that's the first time I've ever seen him knocked over on his back.
1-1 to Hatcher. We've seen the Reds score courtesy of Billy Hatcher, who almost stole a run in the first inning. We've seen them hit the long ball. We've seen them hit one bloop after another. And we've seen the pitcher run over a big catcher.
So what you're saying is they are a good ball club, and I agree with that. They really put pressure on the defense. I think that's the key, because they run the bases well. They haven't really stolen a lot of bases other than Hatcher tonight, but they put pressure on the defense by the way they run the bases.
Good breaking ball there from Hartley to strike out Hatcher, who is also 1 for 5. And that'll bring up Eric Davis. 10-6 Cincinnati ahead. Now Tuesday night, 7:30. Don't miss it, because ESPN will be right here as the Reds go out against Will Clark, Kevin Mitchell, Matt Williams, and the San Francisco Giants, the defending champions of the National League. That'll be the first half of our Tuesday night doubleheader. Sean McDonough and Ray Knight will be here to bring you the action. Wherever I am, I'll have a little set with me. It should be quite a rousing 3 days here with the Giants in town. Eric Davis said before the game, for him, the team to beat in terms of Cincinnati is the Giants. He said, hey, they're the champions until somebody else can prove otherwise. Now, Davis didn't take kindly to that pitch.
Well, most teams try to pitch Davis up and in with the fastball. And when you are a slugger and people try to pitch you up and in, there are going to be a lot of balls that get away inside, and it's going to be tough. And when you stand close to the plate, you have to expect that every once in a while.
foul tip.
Davis is the only one that hasn't really contributed as far as hits are concerned to the Reds' attack tonight.
5 different players suffered broken bones last week in baseball being hit by pitches. Gary Ward of the Tigers, Benito Santiago of the Padres, Delino DeShields of Montreal, Jay Buhner of Seattle, and the game we did last Sunday, Jerome Walton of the Cubs.
Right.
Of course, Joe Morgan, the other Joe Morgan, the manager of the Red Sox, recently served a 3-game suspension for purportedly condoning and all but ordering Roger Clemens to throw it. Remember the Cleveland Indians? Stanley Jefferson was the man who got it. Ball 4. What's happening, Joe? Why is this happening? Guy's not able to get out of the way properly. We'll talk about that in a moment. But this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of Major League Baseball.
John, I have a theory, as usual.
I thought so.
I believe because over the last 4 or 5 years, pitchers did not pitch inside very much. And now they're starting to pitch inside. And hitters are diving out over the plate a little more than they did before. And pitchers are starting to come back inside. And a lot of them aren't able to get out of the way. I've seen some guys actually just not move on pitches thrown inside. So they end up getting hit. I've seen a lot of pitches that are only 4 inches off the plate where they hit the batter. So I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that pitchers are coming inside more than they did the last few years. And the hitters just are not prepared for it.
We saw, when was it, 3-4 weeks ago when we were in Seattle. Toronto was in there. We saw Fred McGriff get beat by Brian Hallman, and he didn't move at all.
Not that far inside. He just did not move. So I don't think it's a change in the pitchers are throwing at the hitters.
Rags with a fly ball to center. And it's caught by Javier, and that is the inning. The Dodgers have one more shot. They've got Samuel, Griffin, and a pinch hitter due up. Cincinnati 10, the Dodgers. Juan Samuel takes strike 1 from Norm Charlton. And here we are into the 9th inning. This is John Miller along with Joe Morgan. Next Sunday we'll be at the Metrodome. The Orioles and the Minnesota Twins go at it. 1 strike delivery, swing and a miss, strike 2. The Cincinnati bullpen is busy as Charlton works here in the 9th. So should he have any trouble, they'll have reinforcements at the ready. Samuel has doubled, line to third, and singled. He asks for time. Joe, we're talking about guys being hit by pitches, going down with injuries and that sort of thing. Is the 2-strike pitch on the way? Ball 1. And Willie Mays. And he got thrown at.
A lot.
Did you ever see him get hit?
Very rarely. I don't remember seeing him get hit very often, but I'm sure he did every once in a while.
Strike 3. Samuel is retired. Charlton with his second, or rather third, strikeout. Now, the Budweiser storyline of tonight's game at Riverfront Stadium, and that pretty well tells it all right there. Cincinnati 10, the Dodgers 6. Valenzuela, he took a beating. 8 runs, 10 hits. Mahler, he wasn't all that sharp, but he's a guy who stands to win it right now. Here is Griffin hitting a foul down toward that Cincinnati bullpen area where the right-hander Rob Dibble and the left-hander Randy Myers are warming up. The other 2 nasty boys. There's Dibble, the right-hander, and Myers, the lefty. These 3 guys, they throw hard, harder, and ridiculously hard. Sabo got it. 2 guns. Well, the next 3 nights, the Giants are here. ESPN will be here Tuesday. Don't miss that one. And the Giants are really going to have to do something to inflict some damage in this ball club.
Well, what's happening now is that all these teams that are chasing the Reds are putting themselves in position where they have to win all 3 games of a series, not just 2 out of 3. And when you get yourself into that position, it's very tough to catch someone when you have to win all 3 games, when you have to sweep every series.
Here's the pinch hitter, Rick Dempsey, the veteran. Ball 1. Keeps himself in superb condition. He's into off-season weightlifting. He's paid the price to play into his 40s. At one time, maybe the greatest throwing catcher in the game. for a few years. Remember the 1979 World Series? The Pirates of Omar Moreno and company, they had some speed, and nobody stole a base in 7 games with Dempsey back there. He could do that. 2 down for the Dodgers. The 2-0 delivery, and it's in for a strike. This victory for the Reds, and they're just 1 out away from getting it, means they will have taken 2 or 3 from the Dodgers, who needed to do no worse than take 2 or 3 themselves. 3-1. Sharperson, the leadoff man, is on deck. He would be next. But Joe, you're fairly impressed with what you've seen from this current edition of the Reds.
Yeah, they are, like I said, a very fine ball club, but they're also a good defensive ball club. I think that's important. A lot of times we talk about pitching and hitting, but defense is just as important if you're going to win a championship. And the fans all rise in unison here. They're used to one of the nasty boys putting them away.
3-2 pitch. He walked him. He threw him a breaking ball on 3-2.
Well, that's strange, but we've already said that these guys are unusual.
I'm very disappointed in that, Joe.
Yeah.
Marge is a little disappointed, too. Oh, doggone it. But I'm disappointed that he, not that he walked him, but that he threw such a
unmacho pitch.
That's right. Hey, come on, you got a 4-run lead. Let's go after the guy. Well, Dempsey is out now, and so are the Dodgers. They have lost 2 or 3 here. They're heading for Atlanta, 10.5 games out. There are still 93 games left in the Dodgers season, but they lose an opportunity head-to-head with Cincinnati to cut into that lead.
I think the strange thing, John, is that the Dodgers were playing great when they came here. They'd won 5 in a row, and now they've lost the last 2 to the Reds. So it doesn't matter how hot the team is. When they come up against the Reds here in Riverfront, they're in trouble.
And the Reds lead the Giants and the Padres by 9 games each. And 10.5 over the Dodgers. The Giants get here tomorrow. We will be getting off to Minnesota next Sunday. Take a look at Kirby Puckett, Kent Herbeck, Gary Gaetti, and the slugging Minnesota Twins as they go against Cal Ripken and Frank Robinson's Baltimore Orioles. We hope you'll join us then. Joe, I enjoyed it.
I did too. Great ball game.
What a night. Our hats off to Piniella and the Reds. John Miller for Joe Morgan. Good night. 10-6. Cincinnati has won it.